من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيها النبي إذا طلقتم النساء فطلقوهن لعدتهن وأحصوا العدة واتقوا الله ربكم لا تخرجوهن من بيوتهن ولا يخرجن إلا أن يأتين بفاحشة مبينة وتلك حدود الله ومن يتعد حدود الله فقد ظلم نفسه لا تدري لعل الله يحدث بعد ذلك أمرا. فإذا بلغن أجلهن فأمسكوهن بمعروف أو فارقوهن بمعروف وأشهدوا ذوي عدل منكم وأقيموا الشهادة لله ذلكم يوعظ به من كان يؤمن بالله واليوم الآخر ومن يتق الله يجعل له مخرجا ويرزقه من حيث لا يحتسب ومن يتوكل على الله فهو حسبه إن الله بالغ أمره قد جعل الله لكل شيء قدرا. واللائي يئسن من المحيض من نسائكم إن ارتبتم فعدتهن 3 أشهر واللائي لم يحضن وأولاة الأحمال أجلهن أن يضعن حملهن ومن يتق الله يجعل له من أمره يسرا. ذلك أمر الله أنزله إليكم ومن يتق الله يكفر عنه سيئاته ويعظم له أجرا. أسكنوهن من حيث سكنتم من وجدكم ولا تضاروهن لتضيقوا عليهن وإن كن أولات حمل فأنفقوا عليهن حتى يضعن حملهن فإن أرضعن لكم فآتوهن أجورهن وأتمروا بينكم بمعروف وإن تعاسرتم فسترضع له أخرى لينفق ذو سعة من سعته ومن قدر عليه رزقه فلينفق مما آتاه الله لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا ما آتاها سيجعل الله بعد عسر يسرا. وكأين من عتت عن أمر ربها ورسله فحاسبناها حسابا شديدا وعذبناها عذابا نكرا فذاقت وبال أمرها وكان عاقبة أمرها خسرا. أعد الله لهم عذابا شديدا فاتقوا الله يا أولي الألباب الذين آمنوا قد أنزل الله إليكم ذكرا رسولا يتلو عليكم آيات الله مبينات ليخرج الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات من الظلمات إلى النور ومن يؤمن بالله ويعمل صالحا يدخله جنات تجري من تحتها الأنهار خالدين فيها أبدا قد أحسن الله له رزقا. الله الذي خلق 7 سماوات ومن الأرض مثلهن يتنزل الأمر بينهن لتعلموا أن الله على كل شيء قدير وأن الله قد أحاط بكل شيء علما.
As the gender war rages on, in order to keep the peace, we must discuss the exact facts. Welcome to Exactly. I'm your host, Saudi Ma'am. Remove your shoes and enter upon your right foot, upon the right state of mind, bi'idhnillah. Topic: the top 5 advices, to our brother Andrew Tate. His next moves should be his best moves. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Lusaini Eskamara and brother Asadullah. Okay. Now these are the top 5 advices I would give to the brother if I had audience with him. Brother Black Mind will join us, inshallah ta'ala, shortly. Okay. He should be joining us shortly, so I will, as soon as he's ready, I will bring him in. MashaAllah, the brother's always insightful, and he always adds a bit of quality to the discussion. Okay, so allow me to. I'm gonna send him the link, so whenever he's ready, he can hop in the green room. Then inshallah ta'ala, I'll bring him in. So, but as far as getting the topic started, the number 1 advice I would give, or really should I start with? I'm gonna start with number 1. I was gonna work from the bottom up, but I'll start with number 1 because number 1 is pertinent to take him to number 2, number 3, number 4, and number 5. Okay, so that's what I'll do. I'll start with number 1. Learn and practice al-wala wal-bara. Learn and practice al-wala wal-bara. Walaikum salam, Brother Amir. Learn and practice to have loyalty to what Allah Ta'ala demands you have loyalty toward, and to disassociate from those things that Allah Ta'ala says you should not be associated with. Okay, now you may say, well, that takes a bit of knowledge. Well, as you learn knowledge of Islam, you apply it. That's practicing al-wala wal-bara. If you learn that Islamically you shouldn't have, let's say for instance, LG HD TV 4K HDMI in your home, then whether they're a family member or a child of yours even, if you learn that, then you apply that as you learn it. You apply it as you learn it. So he definitely can practice al-wala wal-bara. Right now is when he learned that something he should not be associated with, he disassociates from, and something that he should be, loyal to and associate with is something that he can indeed practice right now. He can practice that right now. So he should learn and practice al-wala wal-bara. Okay? This means specifically cutting ties with Fresh and Fitna. He was a regular on the show, and he should cut ties, with them. Cut ties with Fresh and Fitna. Now, hi by, off camera, that's fine as long as he's not, partaking in their off camera antics. Okay. Because, one brother disagreed that, Fitna ever called himself a Muslim. He just said he was raised Muslim. No, he actually said he was Muslim. He was just, he just said he was Muslim the other day, so on and so forth. Like he always says he's Muslim. He'll throw it out. Or he'll say my family's Muslim. He'll try to disassociate himself from being Muslim. Then he'll throw out because I'm Muslim. He says it periodically, and he is a bad, horrid representation of Islam. And for anyone, especially a new Muslim like Andrew Tate, should not and should no longer associate with Fresh and Fitna, and that includes Abu American. That also includes Abu American. Why? Abu American is an advocate and a friend of Fitna, which calls itself Fit. Okay, Myron. He's an advocate and a friend of that person. Abu American hasn't disassociated himself. I guess that bringing him on the show, chumming it up, giving taslims and things like that was a way to boost the ratings, and everything is about ratings now. Everything is about likes and subscribers and viewership and things like that. Everything is about that. So that means that he should disassociate from Abu American as well. I don't think Andrew Tate has been on Abu American's show. I'm not sure of that. I don't think he has. And if Abu American wants him to go on his show in the future, I think Andrew Tate should, until he gets enough knowledge under his belt, he should decline the offer. He should decline the offer. This is part of al-wala wal-bara. It doesn't matter how long the lahya. It doesn't matter how many layers of Arab clothes they have on. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You cannot associate with those that are going to be a negative in the direction in which you wish to go. Okay? The direction you wish to go. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Brother Mahdi Ahmed and Lusain made dua for the brother, said, may Allah Ta'ala bless him with Iman. Yes, indeed. He shows signs of it already, but Allah Ta'ala knows the heart. Okay, so in this practice of al-wala wal-bara, which is my number one advice I would give him if I had an audience with him, is cutting ties with Fresh and Fitna and anyone that claims to be Muslim that is closely associated with them. Hi by Yeah, man, I learned some Quran today, so on and so forth, associate like that, but not going on their show surrounded by whores, surrounded by a bunch of random whores, so on and so forth. Liquor is present there, so on and so forth. He should not associate with that because, because it's not pleasing to Allah Ta'ala. First, secondly, there are a lot of so-called Muslim bashers of Andrew Tate that are not happy with him becoming Muslim. Maybe it's 5%, maybe it's 1%, maybe it's 0.001%, but those are the vocal minority that have voiced their displeasures in his utterance of the kalimatain, La ilaha illallah wa Muhammad Rasulullah. Indeed, indeed. Okay. So, because of that, don't put yourself in those rooms where there's alcohol. Okay. Don't put yourself in those rooms where there are random whores. Don't put yourself in those spaces because you'll just be giving a stick to your adversaries to beat you with. Okay. Again, that is part of practicing al wala wal bara. Okay. Um, he should form ties. Okay, well, he shouldn't hang out with Fresh and Fitna. Should hang out with those that advocate for and support Fresh and Fitna, like Abu American. Okay, that's just one example. Um, and he should not hang with any non-practicing Muslim because we all know Muslims that people that call themselves Muslims that are not on the Deen. I've named them before, so we know Muslims that are not on the Deen that he knows. Okay, so with that being said, he should not keep their company either because they're not practicing the Islam that he aspires to learn and to implement in his daily life as of his Shahada recently. Assalamu alaikum ya akhi Black Mind. I almost called you Abu American. Black Mind. SubhanAllah.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Well, you know what? I have to admit, when I heard Abu American speaking, he sounded like he was related to me or like I'm related to him. So I can't hold that against anybody.
Okay. Okay, SubhanAllah. Can you
So
hear
how
me?
have you been doing?
I,
Yes,
I'm
sir. How
trying
do
to.
I sound for you?
Okay, there you go. I was trying to turn the volume up, and I didn't hear the volume increasing. So I told you I got these not even Walmart. Matter of fact, I borrowed them from a brother, and I'm not giving them back because I don't think he can whoop me. You know.
Oh goodness, man, that is a doggone shame.
Nah,
Tell Muslims they
I'm
mine
just
now.
joking, bro. I'm
I could
joking.
tell.
And
I
as
could
they
tell.
say, bil Arabi, ana amzah. I'm just joking. So anyway,
Yep, yep. And
yeah. So I was still on number one. I don't know if you caught it. I said that Andrew Tate needs to practice al wala wal bara, which is to have loyalty toward and to disassociate from those that are loyalty toward those that benefit him toward the pleasure of Allah Ta'ala, and to disassociate from those that do not benefit him toward his goal in pleasing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I mentioned Fresh and Fitna as mainly Fit Myron as one person he should disassociate with, who has alcohol clearly in his uh podcast. Alcohol is there clearly. Those women are there clearly. And I don't think Andrew Tate should be in. I know for a fact he shouldn't be in that environment anymore because he has a lot of haters, right? Right now, Muslim haters that hate that he became Muslim. So-called Muslim haters. I think all of them are born Muslim. Anyway, or raised Muslim, put it like that, Muslim parents. But they hate him for it. So to put himself in those spaces will give them a proverbial stick to beat him with. See, he didn't change. See, he's still keeping the same company. And also threw an Abu American in there because he is a proponent and an advocate and a fan of Fresh and Fitna, or Fitna per se. He indeed is. That if I went to Abu American's podcast right now, if he went live and I say, man, that Myron, he makes Islam look bad. He makes his ummah look bad. Abu American would threaten to block me or he will block me automatically. You know?
um, the thing is that on one hand, I do get that uh, we shouldn't we shouldn't worry about people that are going to criticize the Ummah no matter what. On the other hand, we don't want to contribute to
Yeah.
their criticisms. We don't give them the stick with which to do it. Those are two different things, and oftentimes we tend to go from one extreme or the other. We're either many of our numbers are uber concerned with we're overly concerned with what somebody else is going to say, as if a hater is ever going to give you a compliment. And so we're either trying too hard to win people's approval and show them who we are, as we like to put it, or we are just going to be whoever, we're going to be the worst of who we are. We're going to be our worst selves because they're going to hate anyway, instead of understanding that our job is to never give them that stick and to make sure that the criticisms they're going to give anyway are not our fault. That we don't warrant them because they're going to come anyway. But yeah, Andrew Tate, he has, and he's changed his whole paradigm. He's changing everything that he stands on if, once he accepts Islam. And he seems to know that. And the thing is that, of course, he's in a unique situation. And you talked about this yesterday. Somebody said that she was going to leave Islam if he joined, and that when Allah asked her, she's going to explain. That's if Allah asked her why she left, and she's going to explain. And the whole problem with that is that, for one, if you just leave Islam, you really run a high risk of being one of those people that Allah does not even ask on Judgment Day. You just get thrown in. You get thrown in face first upside down into a flame uh, because you had the guidance and you just gave it up and you left because of somebody else. Secondly, we fail to understand that Allah is neither a chauvinist nor a feminist. Allah is Allah. So using somebody else's chauvinism or feminism to justify leaving Islam is not, of course, you can't justify it. So he's got to keep in mind that what he's standing on is completely different. But he already seems to have understood that, and that's why he joined. But by the same token, again, it's like, okay, now that he's joined, he also has to keep in mind that if she's going to leave because of him, it's the only thing that's his job is to make sure that he did not actually give her any justification for doing so, or that he didn't give her any nudges to leave. That it's something she did on her own. That's all he's got to do. Is he just has to obey the rules. But we're going to see more of this. I mean, you got this one lady saying that she's going to embolden other women to say the same thing. That's what a lot of us don't understand. I don't know if you can hear me, but I cannot hear you. I can see you, but I cannot hear you.
I think I muted. Go ahead. Go ahead. Am I on now? Can
Okay,
you
I
hear?
can hear you now.
Okay.
Yeah, you
Okay.
clear now.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Uh, what I was saying was that a bridge. People talk about bridge building. A bridge is usually between. It fills the gap between, or it fills the terrain between two equal leveled, surfaces, right? That's
Hmm.
usually what a bridge does. So we don't want bridge building between him and his opposition. They need a ladder, you know. They need a ladder because he's here and they're down there. When he took Shahada, he became the best person, in the room. You know, he became the best person in the room. So why does he have to capitulate or cater to these individuals that are beneath him that are already on the fence? See, he's the new excuse. It's okay. Here's a real life example. This was years ago. I'm at the masjid, and a block and a half away from the masjid was a game room. That's back when they had the big games they used to stand up, you stand in front of. Okay. Uh, and Walaikum salam, brother Jawad. In case I didn't give you taslim, um, they had the game room down a block and a half from the masjid. It was Muslim, I think, a Muslim-owned game room. Okay, and it was a Muslim tending the game room, right? So I go down to the game room after I make dhuhr, and I go down. I say, "Hey, brother, if you didn't pray dhuhr, I'll watch the game room while you go pray." He said, "Oh no, man, this brother, this I think it was a Tabligh Jamaat, one of them Tabligh Jamaat brothers, right?" He said, "No, a brother told me that work is salat." And Yahi, I say, perhaps you misunderstood him. Work is an ibadah. It is a worship, but it's not salat. Salat is salat, and nothing takes the place of salat. You know. See, brother, that's why I'm going there right now, because y'all always got something to criticize. Well, I heard he rejected anyway. You know what I'm saying? I actually heard he rejected. Um, it's crazy, right? It's crazy because he misunderstood a tabligh, that weak dawah, gave him some dawah, so-called dawah advice, or can't even call it knowledge really, that, work is in ibadah. He took it as work is salah. And I don't know if the guy said salah. It's a total misapplication of the concept. So he's mad at me because I'm saying you need to go pray. So the excuse is always there. The excuse is always there. So he carries no fault in whatever that sister's feeling in her heart of hearts, mind of minds. You have to prove that man wrong. Like you said, Allah is not concerned with your feminist notions and your egalitarian aspirations and all this. Allah is not concerned with that. Allah is concerned with, are you upon the haq or are you upon the batil? You know? This is what Allah is Ta'ala concerned. Are you a believer or a non-believer? This is the concern. This is the concern. So we need to be more focused on truth and stop focusing on people's emotions. I don't think he would carry any ounce of blame if half of the Muslims today rejected Islam because he quoted some statistic on his show. So that's why I come off on that one.
Well, the thing about naturally, I mean, the thing is that when these feminists talk about egalitarianism, that's already been covered. So if a non-Muslim has to react to him becoming Muslim, then it's really not our concern anyway until they force it to be our concern as a non-Muslim reacting. But when someone Muslim or claiming to be Muslim, for one, she may have already left Islam before he accepted, because she said that if this happens, I'm leaving. And that's the first problem right there. She may have already apostated when she said that. I don't know what the rules are, but I do remember. Matter of fact, I remember a certain imam sheikh from a particular tropical location you and I both know, telling the class, when you plan a condition for which you will leave, you've already left. And I remember him teaching courses on how people nullify their shahada, whether they know it or not. And it made me very careful about avoiding nullifying my shahada based on having the wrong political opinion. So, let alone an opinion like this. But if the equal rights of the men and the wife have already been taken care of in the revelation, then you don't let somebody else, especially whose past is a problem for you, determine whether or not you're going to stay on the truth. And what she didn't realize was that while, in fact, he became the best person in the room once he took a shahada because he started over, she would have been the more knowledgeable person in the room.
Yes. Yeah.
And she would have been in a position to tell him stuff he doesn't know. and to talk, or maybe even to overtalk him. And she decided, I'm going to give that up. Now, why did she decide she was going to leave instead of staying in a position in which she has an advantage over a man? It's because it wasn't really about equality with her. It was about inequality. It was about being special. That's what she was looking for, and
Yeah.
that's where. And she wound up tactically giving that up because somewhere in her she knew that she didn't have a leg to stand on. Because even if he used to be a pimp and he stopped, then she would have had nothing she could have pointed the finger at him about to say you're an inferior, you're a low life, and she knew that everybody else knew that. And that's what that came down to. Really just came down to now, in fact, they are at least somewhat equal compared to what they would have been before. And she didn't want that. It was actually the equality that she did not want. And she's not the only one. That's the only reason I'm talking about her, because I know that somebody else felt the same way and just didn't write it down on paper. Um, but this is going to happen. There are going to be some more that are going to leave, and they're going to leave because we're not going to shun him, because we're not going to kick him out, because pretty much because we're not going to treat him the way that a lot of non-famous African Americans get treated when they accept Islam, where we say hello, shake hands, and then dismiss him, because he's about to be treated the way that oftentimes many palm-colored converts get treated when they accept Islam because of his fame. Now, and because of the Muslims that looked up to him before he even became Muslim, see a lot more ladies gonna look at us and say, see, you know what, you guys, y'all are just a bunch of, deep down, y'all are just a bunch of chest thumping misogynists and chauvinists. And so they're going to be more that are going to leave. And I think we're going to see a trend of this. Maybe it'll last a month and no longer, but I think we're going to see a trend of this. That this is just one person that was vocal about it with a pen, and others are going to turn around and do it. Because one thing that we have seen is a propensity of people to leave. People leave for any reason in the West, as it is. Myron is actually more of a fitna now, because he insists on claiming it, but he won't stop anything he was doing that he wasn't supposed to be doing. And
Well, he started
then he
off. He started
consequently,
off as a snitch. They hired him to
mm,
be a Arabic translator. Basically, more than likely he assisted in the torture and interrogation of Muslims. More than likely. So he started off as a Fed snitch. So whatever he is now, is a byproduct of what they produce. And just to put it out there, Islamically based on Hadith, if I'm playing basketball, which I was doing earlier, if I'm playing basketball and I tell someone, if I miss this shot, I'm a kafir. Muhammad Sallallahu told us that if we miss that shot, you indicated in the Hadith, if we miss that shot, we actually become a kafir. Kufr is not something that we play with, okay? So if she's
right.
saying that I'm a do this, I'm gonna do that, if he becomes Muslim or if he parades himself around as Muslim, and we accept him, what Muslim is not going to accept him? You know what I'm saying? Besides people like her that are on the fence about Islam. So Lusaini, hope I'm saying it correct, said my advice to him would be to learn the core tenets of the deen gradually. I know they are going to bombard him with books. Yeah, this is similar to what happened to Malcolm X. Malcolm X was a really dynamic. He was about pointing out the wrongs that he saw in society. So those Khaliji sheikhs and Kuwaiti and mainly Saudi rushed toward him to teach them their version of Islam. You know, so to teach him Islam as a religion. That's why Malcolm X stayed a black nationalist, maybe even until his death, because he said, "My religion is Islam. My ideology is black nationalism." This is a statement from him, and he didn't see Islam as a solution. Why? Simply because the people that rushed toward him, were not going to give him deen. Now, Brother Mahdi is saying, do you follow Andrew Tate on his official Getter or Rumble? No, not at all. I'm not on any of those. You know, I'm not on any of those. So I don't know if I ever will go to those. I'm not even sure. So, um, brother Matty is saying Myron Gaines is not even his real name. Well, of course it's not. His name is Parrot Face. I don't know. I'm just kidding. I don't know his name. Uh, and okay, Asalallah says she's gonna be special, all right. Okay, Jawad is saying I'm just trying to go through these comments so I don't pass up anything and give everybody their propers. Jawad said there are some. These are the same sisters who say that they wish they could marry the male Sahaba or the Prophet uh, when they wouldn't even last a day in that marriage. Oh, these sisters today would not marry the Prophet. They would divorce the Prophet or reject his proposal. Then they would go on social media. If it was today, they'll reject the Prophet, go on social media and slander him as broke. That's what they would do. You know. So
Yeah.
Malcolm X got to
They,
the point quickly by pointing out both parties in the states are corrupt. SubhanAllah. And he says both sides. Here are two sides of the same coin. Okay, that's it. What did you say, Ak?
um, well, they would, in today's time, they would not marry him. I mean, if they married him or male Sahaba, they'd leave after an hour of the marriage anyway. And I mean, by leave, I mean they would leave Islam. But they would, you're right, they would go on and they would have a lot of fly stuff to say about the money he doesn't have, about the way he dresses, and the fact that he's got 8 other wives in the meantime.
Yeah.
And they would say, what kind of man who doesn't have provision gets married at all, let alone 9 times or 8 times? Because, well, let's say 9 times. That's what they would do, because I understand that as much as today's women want to tell even husbands that to which we're not entitled, they feel entitled to a lifestyle. And if you don't give them that, even if you were a prophet, then they feel entitled to drag you in front of everybody based on that. Because all they really are concerned with is what men are not owed. All they're really concerned with is maximizing the frustration of the man. That's really about it. And they have that chip in them. Just like I was stated that even guys who are in the black manosphere, to a certain extent, have a simp chip in many of our minds and some remnants of that programming. And actually, it's not that many, to tell the truth. It's actually very few. But as I stated that yesterday, my time, which probably would have been this afternoon, you all's time. Um, as I stated that, the fact is that on the flip side, you got a lot of Muslims. They ain't supposed to be into feminism at all. We already know we're not supposed to be chauvinists,
Yeah.
but they're not supposed to be into feminism at all. There's equal rights for women, and that's one thing, but they're not supposed to be into this. And they go as far as misandry, and I've seen it with my own 2 eyes. Um, and they're very highly sensitive to issues like colorism, for example, texturism and featureism. These are some of their catchphrases and their buzzwords, and so they take feminism to the level of outright misandry, and then they wind up placing that above Islam. And they've done this for a long time, and they've not been checked. Nobody's really called them out on anything because they've had their own little shaming tactics for years. There was a sister, and when I lived in Atlanta, there was a sister. This was at Atlanta Masjid Al Islam and at Masjid Al Mu'minun. These are the two masajid where people who used to follow W.D. Muhammad attend.
Yeah.
And for the most part, they're a lot better now than what they used to be in terms of their knowledge. But there was one lady that was trying to tell them about modesty. Um, and she said that every time she started, they would go in on her and say, "Oh, why don't you just shut up? You just mad because you're old and fat and you can't compete." And in
Yep.
fact, she was medium size, medium weight. Her age was in the middle. She wasn't really old or young. So she wasn't completely out of the runnings as far as we're concerned, because she could marry a man even if he's already married. So she still had a shot. But they were really dissing her right off the bat. They went straight to trying to shame her because she tried to advise them and she didn't try to shame them. And so this has been going on. They've been there, and they've been that chip and that software has been in the sisters of the Ummah for a long time. And so consequently, um, they have been ready, they've been primed for this attitude that we're seeing now. And what case in point, you can talk to a lot of Muslims about Cardi B. You can ask them which one is better. Cardi B, who still ain't accepted Islam, or Andrew Tate just before he accepted Islam. And what they'll say is definitely Cardi B. Well, Cardi B could admitted that she drugged dudes. These guys were dumb for trying to buy the drawers. Yeah,
Drugged and robbed.
nobody's letting them off the hook. Drugged and robbed, yeah. But see, nobody ever let these dudes off the hook for what they were trying to do.
Yeah.
But what she did was she over penalized them because half the time when they were going through the punishment, they were unconscious. That's not Sharia. These guys, she did this out of vengeance, not really even because of them trying to buy the drawers. She was doing this out of vengeance because she already had the programming to hate heterosexual men that didn't have a lot of money.
Remember I told you about
She
the
already
stripper
did that.
mentality?
Yep,
The
they hate
stripper
men the
mentality
most.
sees all men as Johns. The good man, the bad man, the creep. They see all men on an even plane. So every man is a potential trick. Every man is a John. Every man that compliments them, every man that snarls at them, they are all the same. Okay, that's why treating them with a bit of angst, is really the best way to go, because it makes them gravitate towards you. It makes them gravitate towards you. Of course, that pushes you further away from them, like the same sides of two magnets. But what I want to say is, like, when I was talking about al wala wal bara, I talked about a lot of bara with disassociation, like with Fresh and Fitna, Abu American, because he's a Fresh and Fitna sympathizer. But they need to Andrew Tate needs to form ties. Now, form ties with who? Good character Muslims. Not necessarily the most knowledgeable ones, because we're going to debate who he should be keeping company with of those practicing Muslims, or those good character Muslims, things like that. So that's my number one, that he should learn and practice al-wala wal-bara. And from what I gather from just a couple of interviews, seeing his character after being Muslim, things like that, he's got things to work on, just like we all do. Especially him as a new Muslim, got things he needs to work on. But I see the willingness, and I mentioned yesterday when he mentioned that he wakes up in the morning, because Muhammad Hijab was asking about his morning routine. So he said he wakes up 3, 4 in the morning. Oh no, actually he goes to sleep about 3 or 4 in the morning. He wakes up about 9. He gets about 3 cups of coffee in him. He said he loves caffeine. It's a wonder drug, right? He said, and I will continue to drink it. And he told Muhammad Hijab, he said, unless it's not allowed. I say, wow, I'm so proud of that brother, man. Of all the celebrities that come into Islam and give us a black eye by the way they behave publicly, and their excuse is, well, I'm not the best Muslim, like Chappelle says, right? That's not an excuse. Shut up. No, I would have never known he was Muslim until he said it, So why you even got to say it if you're not going to practice it? Just the same as brothers in prison that would write me and say, hey, bro, this one brother told his family, I'm Muslim. They stopped visiting him, stopped sending him money, stopped writing him letters, everything. He said, I'm thinking about telling my family as well. I said, well, do you plan to practice Islam when you get out? He said, yeah. I say, but if you have any trepidation, if there's any way that you may not practice Islam when you get out, I say, don't even bother your family right now. I say, it's better for you not to tell them right now what you own. It's better for you to get out and show them. And that is the whole point. I think that and Allah is the best knower, but I think that he's going to walk this Islamic path, but he needs to find Muslims of good character to keep company with, So that takes me to my number 2. Okay, my number 2 advice to Andrew Tate, if I had audience with him, is to take an Islamic study vacay. I mentioned that yesterday. If he would take 3 months and do a Deen intensive, right? Or he would take 6 months off, which is, I mean, you get with the right brothers, that 6 months would be like, studying for 8 years somewhere in one of these universities. I mean, seriously, he may not know all of the ahadith and be, a master of the Arabic language at that time, but he'll understand the aqidah of Islam. He'll understand it very well and be able to articulate it to a certain extent. So that Deen intensive getaway to learn the basics of Deen, just as who was that said that? That was Lusaini. Lusaini said about him studying the basics, the core, right? So to get away and learn the basics of Deen, that takes about a week, just intensively. I would say a week, probably less for brothers like that. Uh, but learning the deeper meaning. See, after the basics are learned, take that 3 to 6 month vacay, that knowledge vacay, and do what? Learn the deeper meaning of La ilaha illallah. Because La ilaha illallah, in a deeper meaning, doesn't mean there's no God except Allah. Because you have to know what an ilah is. An ilah is an object of worship. It's a point of reverence, or an object of reverence. It is where you take your do's and don'ts from. Okay? And so on and so forth. So again, and it means to worship and obey. The ilah, you worship and obey the ilah. So Allah says, La ilaha. There is no God, illallah, except Allah Ta'ala. So Allah is the only exception. And when he learns the deeper meaning of La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, because that's a practical application. When he learns that, then that's going to put him on a higher plane. Then he's already on a higher plane than that sister we spoke about. And a lot of Muslims, he'll be above them, on a higher plane. Also with that, become sufficient in your salat. Become sufficient in your salat during this time. Of course, he's going to be with Muslims. They're going to show him how to make the salat. But I'm talking about self-sufficient, okay, in making your salat. And perhaps after this, or in the midst of this, make umrah. Make umrah, because in order to have a Hajj Mabrur, I don't think you should go with a group of people like those what do you call those people, man? That you'll go with the group, basically. I don't think he should go with the group. I think that he should maybe go with another person, right? And try to strive for a Hajj Mabrur. Try to strive for a righteous Hajj. That one that erases your sins, where you return like a newborn baby. That is the one that he should strive for. But I think he should take Umrah. And what that's going to do, that's going to give him some, what they call ruhiyah, a spirituality feeling within himself. He'll feel accomplished, knowing that he has to still make the obligatory one, right? So again, and I don't know what the advices are. Some people say, oh, don't make umrah, you have to make hajj. Then after that you make umrah. You should make umrah before the hajj, so on and so forth. Some people may offer that advice, and I'm just saying for him to be in that environment, so on and so forth, before he gets the necessary knowledge to make a Hajj Mabrur, and not to go on like a tourist type thing with a bunch of people just going through the rituals and things like that. So that's my second advice to him, which is take an Islam study vacay, basically. So what do you think about that, Ak?
He has the means to do it, and he absolutely should. Any of us who can should do so. And you mentioned that 3 months or 6 months could really help him out. And I would say, you know what, why not combine them to 9? The thing is that for him to do that, it would mean that he would be out of the limelight. And I think he would welcome that at this point, in all honesty. For him to be out of the limelight for a while, because he's learning, he's studying, that would help. What I would have told him to do, if he asked me, if I ever knew him and had a chance to talk to him, I would have said to him, well, what you do is, best thing is probably to go ahead and take the lessons, but then you can repeat the lessons to a camera, and then you can delay releasing the videos for a few days to make sure you don't learn anything that to make sure that you have the right understanding of what it is that you learn. So, for instance, you can repeat day one's lessons in summary on the video, but then you release it on day 5 because it gives you 4 days in between to make sure you understood it correctly. And that way you balance the relevance that you had before with the actual with the actual truth. And as a matter of fact, you become relevant because of the truth. I would recommend that to balance those two out, but that's another story. It's a tangential point. But the thing is that he would need to do that because he's going to get bombarded, similar to Malcolm. He's going to get bombarded with everybody's particular opinion and everybody's interpretation, and people are going to come to him with truths, and and those are going to be uncomfortable. And he may not know that they're true, and then people are going to come to him with things that are false, and they may not know that these things are false when they say it to him. And so he is going to be bombarded with the different types. See, when I myself became Muslim, um, I also had well, I also knew that for me, telling the Christians that I was Muslim at my job was nothing compared to telling Muslims that I was Muslim. And this is in Atlanta about half a year after 9/11. So I already knew what it was. And sure enough, I mean, I mentioned that I had roommates that were Muslim before I even became Muslim. One of them was a Shia from Qatar. And the other thing too was he happened to actually be, in terms of racial understanding, he happened to be the most brainwashed. So I knew he at some point he was going to want me to see it his way, and I also knew that the other roommates were going to want me to see it their way. And my answer to that at that time is, I'm not going to get my black behind caught up in a Middle Eastern conflict between Sunni and Shia. I'm going to see what the evidences are. But
Yes.
then one of them actually said to me, look, if you go to Surah Baqarah, the Shia are actually named as what not to do because we're told not to break off into splinter groups. And the
Yeah.
word for that was Shia.
Yeah.
And they now
Yeah.
have named themselves after exactly that which it is Allah told us not to break off into. I said, okay, well, now we've got beyond evidence. Now we got proof. Because even if one of them had the right understanding of something, um, then they should not name themselves exactly after what Allah said not to become. So that would negate even a positive or a true understanding of a particular point. So I knew that I knew I was going to go through this beforehand, and he's going to go through it. And as you stated, they were going to come to Malcolm, and there were certain things that were not going to tell Malcolm. But the truth be told, with Malcolm, when they came to Malcolm, they told him about nationalism and ethnocentrism and this sort of thing. But they did not. There was a level past which they were not, a point past which they were not willing to go. See, having racially charged views is only considered to be forbidden. We as an ummah only treat it like it's forbidden when it's somebody of color who is reacting to white supremacy militantly. That's when they come with the color blindness. They don't come with color blindness when somebody who has racially charged views against people of color comes into Islam. Then that's when everyone takes that soft approach and they want to give that particular person time. So, I mean, you could be a mountain hillbilly that used to call us the N word with three hard R's at the end. And then you become Islam, and everybody's like, well, we got to give him time. He's our brother. You know, he only knows what he knows. But then if I come in with a militant view against white supremacy, then that's where a lot of the Muslims are going to start telling me to calm down. And I know because this happened. I've seen it happen.
Yeah.
And Andrew Tate, in a nutshell, because of his popularity and his fame, he's going to go through something similar, although it's probably not going to be about nationalism that much. He's going to go through something similar. And as a matter of fact, one of the things that some of these woke feminazis amongst us are going to say is, well, look how the Muslims treated him with so much fanfare and welcome just because he's white and he's a celebrity. They're going to ignore the fact that actually he comes from a black father.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're going
I
because
was just going to mention that. He said it himself. He said they accused me of racism. My father's black. You know.
Yep, and truth be told, having a black parent does not make one immune to it. But the thing is that it's just that he has not shown a. I haven't heard him say anything disparaging of any particular race.
Yeah.
And one of the things is that being in the ring with guys, um, that does give you an understanding of how little race tends to matter. When you in the ring fighting with guys, you understand that you might win against someone black and lose to someone white,
Yeah.
especially with mixed martial arts, because then you find out that if there are any genetic differences, which may exist on a micro level, you still find out that Allah balanced everybody out. That if one race is in fact stronger, then they may be less flexible, if that's going to be the case at all. You find out that either that's the case or that it's not the case at all, that everybody's identical.
Yeah.
So he's been given that firsthand in the ring
But they
going
talk
up
about the
against
quick
other
twitch
men.
muscle and all that type of stuff.
Right, exactly. And you know what? I mean, some doctors have said, yeah, we'll find that. It's very true. Now, the margins may be very little. The
Yeah.
margins may be very small, and they can detect it because they have the means to do it. But it's just to say that when you get into that ring, you do find out that inequality is not based on race. It may
Yeah.
be there, but it's not race. Because,
Well, you know
like I
how it
said,
hurts. It hurts those that I've heard, being in the streets. Man, you let that white boy whoop you, that type of thing. So it was like unheard of that a white, quote unquote, white boy could whoop, a black dude, because blacks are just so naturally da 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 da, right? Naturally gifted. Look, you gotta train, you gotta know what you're doing. Just because you came out of a black mother doesn't mean you got hands. You know, I mean, it just doesn't mean that. So again, that that that's why Muhammad Sallam said when it came to asabiya, which includes nationalism, patriotism, racism, so on and so forth, he said, "Da'uha fa innaha munatina." Leave it off, for verily it is putrid, it's rotten, it stinks. Okay, and because people tend to think they think too big of themselves. Okay, hubris, right? They think too big of themselves because of their race. And Allah Ta'ala doesn't raise us in ranks based on our race. Okay, then they'll start to think low of others because of their race, which is a shaitanic, trait, right? Iblis, right? Then they'll start to what they'll do, they'll start to discriminate. It's some discriminatory things that they'll start to do because they feel like they're superior. It's like the same with American. I call them American, and KKKAN, American system of slavery that had to strip people of their language and their recipes and their dress and their customs. They had to strip people of that and offer them an inferior, diluted, newfangled culture, which they could never measure up to because they didn't have the complexion for the protection, right? So with that being said, that just destroyed the whole mentality of a people because of this. So it just doesn't start with feeling good about yourself. So people say, I'm a black nationalist. I don't hate nobody. They say, I just love my people. And then that goes to, oh, y'all smell like wet dogs. That goes to, I'll never let myself get whooped by no white boy, so on and so. White boy, knock your head off. You know what I'm saying? And that's exactly what we experience. That's why it all has to be done away with, and we have to begin to measure each other by what? By taqwa. Who's fearing Allah Ta'ala? Who is practicing the deen that they profess? That's where we start to differentiate between each other in ranks. And Abdul Wali, wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. So again, let me go to number 3, inshallah ta'ala. Number 3, my advice to him, if I had audience with him, I would say, don't be content with studying the religion of Islam. And I have religion in quotation. So don't be content with studying the religion of Islam or Islam as a religion. Okay? Study Islam as an ideology. Okay? Don't study Islam on the level of Christianity, Judaism, Hinduism. No, don't do that. Study Islam on the level of capitalism and communism that doesn't exist anymore. Study Islam on that level, because these are systems that actually rule and govern men. It has sentiment, it has thoughts, and it has methodology. Study Islam on that level. Islam has thought, sentiment, and methodology. Islam has that. So he's going to start off with a bunch of, the monastic, prayer, fasting, so on and zakat. He's going to start off with that, right? But he needs to learn Islam from an ideological point of view uh, that solves all of life's queries, you know? Not just the queries, but the problems that we experience in life. He needs to study Islam from that perspective, and you can't get it from Muhammad Hijab, sad to say. Muhammad Hijab, that he went his interview recently, Muhammad Hijab doesn't know Islam like that. He doesn't know Islam like that, so he can't give it to him on that level. So he's going to have to find himself and put himself in circles with brothers that are very intelligent, ideologically intelligent, that know Islam is a solution and not just a religion. So that would be my third advice to our beloved brand new brother, Andrew Tate. What do you think about that, inshallah?
It's actually pretty deep because you're right that these other ideologies actually are used in government. They are not taken as, in their lands, they're not taken as options. In the States, capitalism is not really an option. It's a must. You don't have to own the capital, but you have to work within that system. And of course, in the Soviet Union, communism was not an option; it was a must. Sorry for yawning. You didn't have the option of owning private property, probably beyond your clothes and a few lamps and things like that. Um, the means of construction, the means of production were controlled by the state. So, the states, you're right, states do not give options. And consequently, yeah, that is the best way to study it. Now, granted, that may lead to a state locking him up, but he still has to study it that way if he's going to study it at all. That's very true.
Well, I don't think they'll
Um,
lock him up unless he, and transparency is everything because what they want you to do is to be, in some type of secret gathering, or and so on and so forth. They want you to do that so they can write the narrative. They can control the narrative. But when you are, that's why I keep my thoughts and my actions transparent. So they can't put anything on me. If I'm driving and they find drugs in the trunk of the car, in the car, period, people gonna be like, nah, that's a setup. Nobody's gonna believe that. Now, of course, these hating hypocrite Muslims that I come across on social media, these anonymous, whatever they are. Of course, yeah, they'll push it. They'll know it's not true, but it's something favorable to them, so they'll push the narrative. Or if they find me in this particular situation or that particular situation, people will say, "Nah, I know him. That's not true." But you know, uh, definitely they will find someone to push the narrative for them because they just born and bred haters. They're born and bred haters. So I don't think the governments would get mad at him for learning it that way. I think that when he speaks out against oppression and things like that, I think they'll become perturbed. He's a well-traveled individual, so when you are speaking that way, and I know a lot of brothers that are speaking that way that are well-traveled, they don't mess with them. They mess with them in their different ways, but not, you know, they're not going to jail him because he calls this regime oppressive, so on and so forth, things like that. So, that, like I said, studying Islam from an ideological point of view is something that I wish for my brother, and I would advise him, and I would actually point him to individuals. And I mentioned three names. There's a lot. Oh man, there's a lot of names to mention. I mentioned some that are like well known, like in the UK. There's Taji Mustafa, uh, and there are many other brothers. I'm not leaving anybody. I'm leaving a lot of people out purposefully. There's Dr. Malkawi, and also here there's Muhammad Hanini. I really recommend Muhammad Hanini. This brother, Allah has blessed him to be very clear in his delivery of Islam. I mean, the way he teaches is just so clear. It's so clear, and the clarity is everything. Like I said again, Andrew Tate is highbrow. He's not an idiot on any level, and that he's Muslim, he's not a Muslim idiot. So he's gonna learn the Deen gradually, and when he learns it ideologically, that will open up because Islam as a religion, man, it'll for a person of affluence like that, Islam as a religion might get on your nerves, you know, because these brothers, man,
Good.
everything will be haram. You know what I'm saying? Brother, one cup of coffee, not two, not three. You know, oh, your shirt is too tight. I can see your pectorals. Well, a man is allowed. He can walk around shirtless if he wanted to. Outside of Salat, a man can wear those old NBA shorts that cover their private part, front and back. You know, that's allowed in Islam. The Africans wore the izar with their chest out, and Aisha watched them in the masjid, practicing archery and dancing and all kind of different things. So again, you gonna get these Muslims that come in, they're gonna get on your last nerve. Did you just breathe? Yeah, you can't breathe. So on and so forth. Oh, Muhammad Sallam was a vegan. You shouldn't eat meat, brother. Muhammad Sallam was a vegan. Stuff like all this stuff Muslims just make up, and they really bombard you with it. That's why he needs to get with an ideological Muslim so he won't be bombarded with this petty. Listen to what me and my group of Negroes believe. That type of Islam. I think that really, that'll perturb anybody, man.
Yeah.
That me and my group of nigga Islam, basically.
In a nutshell, yeah, it would. We both had experience with that. I don't know of too many who have not. I remember somebody told me, listen, when I was new, a brother from Sudan said to me, listen, Black, if you get with that Tablighi Jamaat first before you get with anybody else, you're gonna wind up leaving the religion. And I thought, stuck for the law. Shouldn't I tell them to leave instead? I'm not giving this up. But I saw what he meant in that, and then later on, I found out that a lot of the stuff that they were saying um, is a lot of what they were saying was they weren't completely making it up, but they would interpret it wrongly. And and then of course you got other people coming up and telling you all sorts of things, and eventually I had to find out that most people had something wrong with their beliefs based on understanding. That most groups did, and sometimes it wouldn't even be an official doctrine of their group. It would just be a mannerism or a way that many of them took on and adopted. Like for instance, amongst W.D. Muhammad's group, the things that are actually un-Islamic to preach, like your hair is your hijab, they don't preach that anymore. These are not their teachings anymore. But you still have people that just, it seems to attract a lot of
Well,
people that are
remember they
going.
still misquote Quran. They say Allah says in Quran, one is better if you but knew in regards to marrying women. That's not in the Quran nowhere. Watertuddin said it and they repeat it. I asked them find it in the Quran. Some of them promised to find it, just like Jehovah's Witness promised to come back to my house after they've knocked. I talked to them. I said, hey, come back. They never come back. I said, let's continue this dialogue. They never come back. They got my house on the no knock list. Okay. Now the same with these Watertudinis. When I say find it, show me in Quran where it says one is better if you but knew. You know what Quran says bil Arabi? Fawahida.
What's that?
Fawahida. Then one. There's no one is better if you but knew. In
Oh,
kuntum ta'malun. If you but knew. Allah don't say in kuntum ta'malun when it comes to this. Allah don't say that. But they keep repeating
ta'lamun.
it. The Quran doesn't say that at all.
Yeah, it doesn't say it. It doesn't say in kuntum ta'lamun. Now you said in kuntum ta'malun if you were working,
No, no,
but
no.
in
Alim, ta'lamun. If I
right?
said
That would be
ta'malun, I
different.
apologize. It's
I won't tell
I'm not
anybody.
even good
I'll
with
keep it a
English.
secret.
I'm not even good with English.
I mean, you from
It's from
San Antonio,
alama, from
man.
alama, not amala. From alama is what I meant. Okay. I've been
From
speaking
Alabama,
English
yeah.
all the time, so I'm not gonna do a service to the Arabic.
Well, it's okay. I mean, look, man,
Yeah.
you in San Antonio, and English is not commonly used there, is it?
Now we
Yeah,
use Tex
actually,
Mex and all that stuff.
yep,
But
sure did. I remember that.
Brother Maddi says I wouldn't be surprised if Andrew Tate performs Umrah before the end of the year. Like I said, Maddi, I don't know if you can do Umrah before Hajj. I don't know if that's a rule or is that madhabi, minhaji. Some people say that. I don't know. But I think it'd be a good idea if he did that if it's allowed. I don't know what people say. I don't know much about Islam. I'm just I'm hanging on. So I'm gonna go to number four. Number four is to marry for. Isn't that ironic? Number four is to marry for. Okay. Number
Hmm.
four, marry for. Okay. Four different women from non-Western countries. Four different women from non-Western countries and make them travel companions. Now, why would I say that? A rich, handsome, fit man. He has the mark of the beast, respectfully. 666, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's a nine-figure earner, whether you know it or not. He's a nine-figure earner. I heard it's nine zeros, but nine-figure earner, okay? Let's say that to be safe. Okay. He's 6 foot, over 6 foot, right? Okay. And and
Mm-hmm.
uh and I don't know about the other thing, but he is known to the women. Put it like that. That's the third six. He's known to the women, right? So because of that, he should do what Kobe Bryant should have been doing the whole time. It's just having Vanessa travel with him, right? If you have a thing like that and you believe in monogamy, I'm glad I don't believe in that trash. I don't believe in no monogamy trash. But uh, if Kobe Bryant, he was a type. He don't go hang out with the dudes with the team. He don't go to bars. He don't go to the naked dance club with the team. He don't do none of that with the team. He would break off and go do his own thing. His own thing apparently was what they were doing, but he just did it by himself. Okay, so because the basketball wives talk to each other, okay, they don't tell the wife your husband doing such and such, but they'll talk to each other about what that wife is husband's doing, and then they'll do. That's how they communicated. Okay, from what I understand. So Kobe Bryant, if he would have kept his wife with him at all times, trying to be a Christian, whatever he was trying to be, right? Then
Mm-hmm.
that would have been his protection. Keep her with you at all times. That's what I like to do. I like to keep my wives with me. I actually, when I used to believe in wives being friends, I used to want them with me all the time. Until you marry a headache, then you want to, babe, let's go shopping, but you go toward the pharmaceutical. I need some Advil, you know, and meet
I'm
me
telling
back.
you, killing
Meet me
them.
back at the cash register. 'Cause I want to be around you. Anyway, so I say he should marry four from four different non-Western countries and make one or all of them his travel companions. I think that's what he should do. Because he says when he's on the yacht, yeah, they got the beautiful, naked women on the yacht laying around. He said he working. He busy on his phone or on his laptop working. He's not even studying them or bothering with them. They may be drinking. They may be smoking marijuana, whatever. I don't know what they're doing. He said he don't even do that. You know what I'm saying? So again, uh, cause they accuse him of hedonism, basically, right? So nevertheless,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter if you were a heathen a hedonistic as a Catholic. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter anymore. So what's the point? Nevertheless, I think that's what he should do. He should immediately get four. If one of them, you know, don't turn out right, or whatever, and put them on a strictly Islamic prenup, meaning that they can't run to the Kafirs and get no more than what Allah has ordained for them, right? If they don't agree to that prenup, it should be pre-divorced, you know. But anyway, that would be my fourth advice to him. What do you think about that?
That might be actually some of the smartest advice you've given it up to this point because, see, they're going to come after him. And one of the things they're going to try to do is they're going to try to trip him up into adultery. And if, of course, if they can't do that, then they're going to try to um, frame him for it, but they're not going to just let him alone. So, of course, with any famous guy, they're going to send, especially if you're famous and you're saying things that people don't like, they're going to send seductresses to him. So yeah, you know what he? That's exactly. He should marry four, no slots available. They should be young and attractive and from non-Western backgrounds, and because they would get to be housewives anyway. And
Yeah.
yes, they should travel with him, whether it's in turns or two at a time or all of them. They should travel with him, absolutely, because this, and like you said, this would put a hedge of protection around him. So if somebody were to come along and say, "Well, he cheated on his wives with me," he could easily say, "How did you get past my wives? Because
Yeah.
they were with me,"
My
and that's going
guards.
to, uh, and not only that, when he travels with his wives, he should not publicize that he's traveling with them. This way, the dumbest liars are going to wind up being the first ones trying to tell the lie, and they're going
Yeah.
to stump themselves. And that's going to send a message to everybody else that wants to do that. Okay, that angle's not going to work. So yes, absolutely, absolutely. This might be the best advice. Plus, to be honest with you, um, since the feminists are our enemies, even if they call themselves Muslims, this is a good way to tick the enemies off. Because they're always saying, well, if Allah said polygamy is allowed, you still need to be able to handle it. And what they pretty much mean is financially. And so now you're going to have this guy who's financially and I assume physically able to handle it because he's in shape. So then they're going to try to say something about it. And what are they going to be able to say? They're not really going to be able to say much. We'll be able to say to them, okay, now, number one, this guy has done it. So you can't say anything about it. Number two, you don't have to be financially that well off to marry two, three, or four. And as a matter of fact, the ones who say that deserve to have to share their husbands with no money. But that would open up that discussion. So yeah, this would close a lot of doors actually, and it would open up a discussion that we need. This may be the best advice you've given.
Okay. Alhamdulillah. Okay. Thank you for crapping on my other advice, but
Oh, you're
nevertheless.
very welcome. You're very welcome. So there's more where that came from.
Subhanallah. Okay. That takes us to number five, inshallah ta'ala. Drum roll, please. No, I'm just kidding. Um, he Number five, he should learn true sa'ada. He should learn what it means true happiness. Okay? And the Sharia meaning of sa'ada or happiness is to know your Lord is pleased with you. You know, see his lifestyle right before Islam, which wasn't a bad lifestyle. 3 cups of coffee, going to bed late, you know, he's hustling, trying to earn more and more income. It's not, long as he's getting his salat in and so on and so forth, there's no problem. La mushkila, as they say, right? Not a problem. But he should learn what true sa'ada is because the test is going to come. And he already knows. I ain't talked to the brother, but I heard him speak. And you can surmise that he understands that some of his streams of income have to stop. I don't know if it's true, but I heard he was into the porn business. Okay? Heard he was producing. And think about it. It's fresh and fit is porn. You know? That's actually, it may be soft, but it's porn. At any moment, those women will get up and bend over. They'll jump on the pole, you know, at the behest of fitna, right? So at any moment, so it may be soft porn as we call. I don't think Islam differentiate between soft and hard, but it may be soft porn, but it's porn still. So that's what I'm saying is that if he learns true sa'ada, okay, if he learns true sa'ada, which is you know my tag. What you asking me in public? What's wrong with you, man?
Well, I want people to hit. I want folks to break you off because normally I try the super chat, but I haven't found the super chat to work here in Saudi. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. But I want everybody to hook you up. Actually, that's why I was asking in public.
No, I'm good. I'm good. I'm too shy for that.
Okay, I won't tell anybody that either. Then
Okay, I got more kids than I got money. I'm out. I'm
Oh goodness.
I,
Yeah,
I, I
you
mean,
you
I'm trying to do something for the. I got a big community projects dealing with children. I'm trying to do something like that, and inshallah, that should help me, in retirement, But I'm such a giving person. I told you I'm a recovering simp, right?
you did, yes.
I still be getting hit up. I can't say what I do right now because I don't want to seem like I'm bragging. Also, I don't want my wife to know, and she's probably listening right now. But I try to help wherever I can. It just something that's in me. So I need to have something that I'm doing that takes care of me and my family, but I'm still giving more than what I'm earning. Right? That's something I just have to have because I'm not going to be happy. I don't want to come off as simpish. I want to have a mechanism of simpism. You know, okay? Can we say that? A mechanism of simpism. I want to be systematically simpish, meaning that I'm helping people, helping the children. So sometimes you have to help the people in order to help the children, right? So anyway, we'll get there. I'll talk about that more in another setting. But anyway, so when he learns what true sa'ada is, true happiness is, when he cuts his streams of income, he won't have any withdrawals. Okay? No withdrawal symptoms. Okay? Uh, Money may be lost on the Sirat al-Mustaqim, on the straight path, right? Money would definitely be lost. Remember, Abdurrahman bin Auf, I think it was, he was preparing to make hijrah from Mecca to Medina. He made all of his money in Mecca. Okay? He made all of his money in Mecca, became very wealthy. I mean, very well off, very wealthy. The Quraysh said, "Hey, where you going? Why finna make hijrah? Well, you ain't taking the money you earn here." And so I'm paraphrasing, right? You're not taking the money that you earn here. If you go to the land of Muhammad in the Medina, then you go with the clothes on your back. He said, keep it. He left. And when he got to the Medina, he came across one of the Ansar who saw that he was without. He said, listen, he said, I have 2 gardens. Look to which one you like and I'll give it to you. He said, I also have 2 wives. Look to which one you like and I'll divorce her for you. You know what Abdurrahman bin Auf said? He said, no.
Show me where the
He said,
marketplace
show me
is.
the marketplace. I'll fend for myself. You see that?
Yeah,
That's beautiful, bro. That's beautiful.
that
So
is.
you lose. Now, some of his streams of income can't, stand as a Muslim if he wants to be a good Muslim. Alhamdulillah, Mahdi said he stopped that years ago. I mean, I pray Allah Ta'ala that's true, but I don't think it'll be hard for the brother to stop. Even if he was a partner, because some streams of income, you're not the master of it. You're not the CEO over every stream of income. Some ones you just put in a percentage and you get the benefit or the loss, right, from it, the earnings or the liability. So I just want for my brother to know that you may drop a few coins walking that straight path because it's full of obstacles. Imagine your pockets full of money and you jumping over hurdles, and that's the Sirat al-Mustaqim. It's a straight path, but it's full of obstacles. The path to Jahannam are like slippery fun slides, slippery fun slides like at the splash park, at the water park. But the Sirat al-Mustaqim is laden with hardships and potholes and thorns and broken glass on your bare feet through this dunya, right? So with that being said, you'll drop a few coins, okay? You'll drop a few coins. And I just want him to know that, okay? That when he modifies his earning revenues, yeah, you're going to see the numbers go down, but it's not about the numbers, you can't, I don't know how much money, but let's say $1 million. You can't live $1 million. You're going to buy depreciating things with $1 million. The only things you're going to buy that really appreciates is really your home. Your home will appreciate. Your property will appreciate. But your car, it's an automatic depreciation. When you go vroom, and you put it in drive, that car probably loses half its value already. There are a few exceptions to the rule. There's Subarus, and I know overseas they got other brands that haven't reached here yet, but you got Subarus, you got Hondas pretty much keep their value. Toyotas keep their value. They they don't lose a lot, but they lose. Every one of them loses. My home that I purchased here, I bought a fixer upper for right under $30,000, no interest, nothing. Okay, right under. And this was sold to me by a friend who demanded I take a home. His mom was going to give me this home. His mom was going to give it to me. Okay, and but she passed away. Now it's in the hands of him, his brother, and his sister, and they were not going to give me anything. Not the brother and sister. So what he did was say, "Hey, look, I worked out a number with them. Just give me 30,000, 28,000, whatever. Give me that, and you can have it." That was the agreement. Gave it to him. Done with it. Right now, my home is worth 3 times as much as that right now. You might say, "Well, that's not much. That's just the tax value." And I'm not asking them to tax it, to raise the taxes more than that. You know what I'm saying? I'm not asking them to. So that's the tax appraised value. I could sell it for way more than that. Okay? I could sell it for way more than that if I sold it, right? Which is really not a good move unless I'm doing a lateral, right? To something else, right? Ain't no sense of selling what you own to go rent something. So that don't make any sense. Nevertheless, that's what I'm saying. So a home is an appreciating asset. No matter how much lived in it is, it's an appreciating asset. Your cars and really, I really shouldn't say it. So some people, I think Kevin Samuel said one time that women are a depreciating asset. You know what? It may not have been him. It may have been one of them other guys. I'm not sure. But somebody surmised that Kevin Samuels had said it one day. But somebody said it straight out, that women are a depreciating asset. I don't see that as so, you know. Of course, they lose attraction. Of course, they lose elasticity. They lose moisture. They lose a lot of things, okay? Sometimes they lose their mind, right? But that asset is not depreciating unless she is not a good wife. If she went from a good wife to a bad wife, that's a depreciating asset. Her age, her gray hair, none of that, her breasts lower than they used to be, none of that is depreciating because she has a value as a good wife. She brings you sakina. She brings you a tranquility, right? And you can't buy that one. You can't buy that one. Andrew Tate has the option to marry 4 18-year-old women, right? And I don't care who gets mad at that. You go fly a kite, go fly a metal kite in a lightning storm. I don't care what you think. He could marry 4 18-year-olds and do a Leonardo DiCaprio. When they reach an age where he's no longer attracted to them, even though he's getting older too, right? But see, men don't depreciate unless they become decrepit. And if they have wealth about themselves, that's always a plus, okay, for men. So when he loses attraction for them, he can divorce them. And that wouldn't be a good life, or even quote unquote fair to the women that he married. But look at Hassan radiallahu an, the son of Ali radiallahu an, Huma, he married, divorced, married, divorced, married, divorced. They said he was like an AK-47, talak, 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 just pronouncing divorce all the time.
God have mercy.
Yeah, and they say he married upwards of 100 women. Some say 80, some say 100. Okay, and some say, oh, those are the Shias. Say, no. And some Shias say, no, that's the Sunnis saying that. No, nobody's saying anything. There are reports that he married a lot and he divorced a lot. And think about it. He didn't have to. He could have just stuck with the Malakat Aman, the companions of the right hand. He could have married one wife and had a bunch of companions of the right hand. Because we have many scholars, like I think Bukhari and Muslim never married. I think Ibn Taymiyyah, they say he never married, if I'm not mistaken. But they had servants. They had servant women. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. They just never, settled with a woman. But they had the women, the Malakat, the women that they took care of, like wives, took care of, were responsible for, maintained, protected, all of that. They just didn't officially marry them, and they were lawful because they were under their care. Okay, and that's something Allah allows us. If you're going to take care of a woman, it's like recently a sister got herself in some trouble, and she reached out to brothers that she know. And she reached out to me. She reached out to a couple of other brothers that we know on these platforms, and we came up with something, and we helped her out, right, get out of trouble, right. And one brother said, "Man, that's." He sent me the ham emoji. He's a red pill
God have
brother,
mercy.
He sent me a emoji of a ham. He said, "Man, that's ham. That's ham stuff."
God have mercy.
I mean, for real though, man.
Well,
A lot of sisters are in need. They need a man. Well, I don't want to get married. You can't force me to get married. Look, I ain't forcing you to do nothing. You can't force me to help you out of that pickle either. I'm saying Allah
yeah.
gave you the solution. You want to say I don't want to get married. This is real life talk, bro. I don't want to get married. You can't force me to get married. Oh, it's my choice. Okay, well, your how much short you on rent? That's my choice too. You know that pickle, that legal pickle you're in. That's my choice as well. We all got choices. Good day,
Yep.
sir, madam, whatever you are. You can't tell these days
Yep.
anyway.
And
So
not anymore. No, there's one reason I fear even going back to the states. And my yeah, I fear it largely for that reason because you don't know. As a matter of fact, I ain't gonna lie. Back in 2015, when I made my first visit, um, I remember my mom saying something about, well, son, you're getting this divorce, uh, but don't run off and marry somebody in Saudi. And I told her, well, the thing is, mom, most of the time they're entirely too big in Saudi. I mean, they have their own gravity when you walk by them. But one thing I can say is that they did not get an operation to become women. That's scary in the state. So uh, don't worry, but don't think that means I'm going to come back here and marry an American when she may have gotten an operation to become a woman in the first place.
well, become
So
become womanish, not woman, but womanish.
yeah,
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 it means they can
womanish.
fool, they can
Smart.
aesthetically fool you, but man, it's crazy. Not too far off the topic, but I had an argument with a sister. It's an open. We weren't arguing on private, arguing in the open forum. She said a mutilated male looks the same as a woman, genital wise. A mutilated male looks. I said, I seen one of them thing. I seen one of them manufactured ones. I saw a picture of one of the manufactured ones. That ain't a woman. That ain't got nothing. But it looked like. I don't know if you ever seen one. I don't want you to give yourself up. I gave myself up already. But if you seen one of those mutilated things, you know, it was actually a Google search uh about what they call it. It ain't a vaginoplasty. It's called something. It was a Google search, and the picture popped up. Okay, the picture popped up, and it was a mutilated male to look like. I mean, to make not to look like they can't make it look like a vagina. It was to produce an orifice, to produce a hole, right? That's all it was, a hole. Okay, and it didn't look nothing like. But there was this. It didn't look nothing like a vagina, man. So it didn't look nothing like a vagina. And the sister argued me down. It do look like a real one. It do. I say, is this confession time, or are we in a Catholic church right now? I mean, I've never seen it, and I oh man, before Islam, I was a whore. I was a
I remember.
whore before Islam. So, and some people say after. Let them tell it, But the point is that I've never seen the monstrosity.
Well, that may, honestly, that may be one of the reasons why it is that these the guys who get those operations are so aggressive and so on the hunt to get a straight man. That may be one of the reasons
Yeah.
because, I mean, in a nutshell, they joined the war against, um, male heterosexuality, and that's one of the things against which Andrew Tate's been pushing back even before it became Muslim. One second.
Yeah.
What? No, there's an interview. Thank you. All right, sorry about that. So he's pushing back against that whole war against male heterosexuality. And so consequently, that's one of the reasons why it is that he was vilified even from before. He wasn't vilified because he was a misogynist. That wasn't really it. He was vilified and banned from these platforms because he was fighting back. Because in a nutshell, what it is that anything that will emasculate you, they want. And that's part of why it is that you even have straight women that'll tell you that you need to have a more relaxed attitude towards trans women. They just want to emasculate you. Now, when they
Hey,
get older, of course, they'll
can I
get a
can I
problem with it.
confess something to you real quick?
Go ahead.
I think I had a homosexual experience earlier today. I had the kids. The kids were with me at the park. I had a couple of kids that are on my team. I had my granddaughter and I had my four babies, right, including a 2 month old,
Hmm.
right, almost 2 month old. So we at the park, and I'm they playing around, and I'm on the monkey bars. I'm helping them with this little. It's like almost like a zip line, but it's really a pole, and you hold onto the handle, and I gotta push you on the pole. So we're doing all that type of stuff. So I decided to do some pull ups, right? So I'm doing some chin ups, and then I'm doing some pull ups, and I'm trying to do the extreme ones, when you really go real high. I'm trying to do that, and I got down. I looked over, and dude sitting over there looking sweet. He didn't look right. He didn't look right. And he had this funny color. He had a black shirt on, but it had too many colors on it. You get what I'm saying? He looked like
Uh
LG
huh.
HD TV 4K HDMI. Skittles, Fruit Loops,
Oh man.
Fruity Pebbles. He looked like that, and and I'm like, man, I ain't do no more pull-ups. So that was my gay experience for the day. I ain't do no more pull-ups, man.
Well,
Yeah, I stopped. I think
honestly,
he
I
was
don't think.
enjoying that too much.
Yeah, honestly, man, I can see why you wouldn't. And then again, I mean, yeah, I can see why you wouldn't do it in more pull-ups. But you see, where you live, it's everywhere and it's open. It's obvious. Now here it exists, but it's always hidden. Wherever it is, it's pretty much hidden. I've had some students that were really quiet and shy, but they would wear these really bright colored shoes. They all wear the same thobes, but
Yeah.
they would wear these bright colored shoes, and that would be about as far as they went. To tell the truth, it's so rare here that somebody that's a little bit effeminate isn't even that recognizable by everybody else. Um, so, in that regard, it's similar to Atlanta. See, in Atlanta, you get desensitized. So when a guy is just a little bit effeminate, or he's reserved, but he's not actually into other guys, you can tell the difference between him and a guy that's actually into other dudes. Um, and here it's almost the same thing, but for a different reason. It's because they're not even as familiar with it because it's not open. It's a known phenomenon, but it's not open. So I understand, where you live, man, it's like that. And when something in you says, hold up, this is not the way we're supposed to be acting, and this is not supposed to be something that's out in the open and especially promoted. When you start to say that, then you get pushback from it. Andrew Tate just got pushed back on a higher level because he had a bigger audience to hear him anyway in the first place.
Mm.
And the thing is you're going to face, well, he's facing that pushback, but you're going to face it even from the Muslims. As a matter of fact, we're going to face it especially from them because they've been infiltrated. It's in their heads. And so that's why this sister's telling you that they look the same. I've never seen it, but she's telling you that they look the same. She's going
Trust
to
me,
say
bro.
that.
Trust me. They no, no. That mutilated monstrosity. That's I was like, my eyes, my eyes. And
Yeah,
it just doesn't
God.
work. And I'm gonna tell you what I was searching for. I was searching for. It's like, I don't know if you've seen this one meme I put. I didn't put an actual woman dance on the pole. It was a stick figure that was on the pole. Okay, and the meme was the caption was like, Allah knows my heart. You know, I say women be like, Allah knows my heart, and they dancing on a pole. You know what I'm saying? So I'm looking
Uh-huh.
for a cartoon or animated or something, and the picture came up. I said, "What the?" You know, and I looked. It was a vaginoplasty. I think it said. It says it was some technical term. I say, "Oh man, that's what they doing to niggas."
And you know, man, where you are, that type of thing can easily come up in that search result.
Man,
Um, it's not blocked, so you're going to be exposed to it. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure there are algorithms and things in place to make it to gradually increase the exposure of
yeah,
specifically those things. I mean, here you can search for world star hip hop and it gets blocked. You can search for things that
okay,
seem mundane and it gets blocked. If you type in, let's say, if you type in interview with and you put in an adult actor's name, just an interview
yeah,
with, then the search results get blocked. That means that even the non-X rated material, which is just an interview, does not come up.
yeah,
Mundane searches here could lead to something that's being blocked. Not all of it, but if you live here 8 years, you may experience that about twice. I'll put it like that. For me, it's been about 4 times. Um, but where you are, it's the complete opposite. They're trying to gradually increase the exposure to that. But this lady was going to tell you what she said because, see, when they're young and they've got options, they're spoiled for choice. And the only joy that some of them get sometimes because of how many options that they have in guys
yeah,
is to just offer guys whatever it is that we don't want. And since most of us are hetero, then they'll even turn around and try to push the homo agenda on us along with our enemies. Now, when they get older, that's when, as Jawad said, then it's time for them to get some cat food and die alone and some
yeah,
antidepressants.
yeah.
But
What
they're spending their youth actually trying to emasculate their options.
that's the go-to. Cat food, cat toys, selling actually exotic cats. That gives them a sense of purpose in life. Have an exotic cat, and antidepressants. Antidepressants and anxiety pills. Invest in those companies that produce that. Or just that sector of medicinals, and that's how you can make a lot of money these days. I told my son to invest in a private prison, teach everybody in the prison a trade, uh, uh, teach rehabilitation. Don't just house them. Teach rehabilitation. Teach them about the ills of society and why they ended up there. Actually give them real statistics and things like that. Uh, about the single moms and all this other stuff that leads to degenerate behavior, and why that's that is supported by the government. Why is that preferable over stable families and households? When in the military, if a wife gets caught cheating on her husband, she gets in trouble. If a man gets caught cheating on his wife in the military, you get in trouble. You know why? Because they don't want that in the military, but they let it out in society. Now, why is that double standard existing? That's something that really needs to be delved into. So I told my son, prisons and medicine. Prisons and medicine are the biggest things, and cybersecurity too. But prison and medicine, you can't go wrong if you take your money and invest in that. So I told him to start clinics, or open up clinics, and when people come that cannot pay, do not send them a bill. Do not send them a bill. Okay, if you can do one patient a day for free, do that. You know, whatever, right? So I'm just telling him, don't just be a businessman, but be a Muslim businessman, and earn some of Allah Ta'ala's pleasure as you learn earning money, which earning halal money is pleasing to Allah too. So nevertheless, that's just something it brought to my mind, about that particular issue. But just to recap, number one, to learn and practice al-wala wal-bara, to be loyal to those that are going to benefit you in the deen, and disassociate from those that will hurt you in your journey to become a good Muslim. Okay. Take an Islamic study vacay. That's the second advice. Third advice, don't be content with studying Islam as a religion, but study it from an ideological, problem solving, society healing point of view. Okay. Number four, marry four. Now, if he doesn't want four, can't push that up on him. But I'm thinking, that he probably could go four. You know what I'm saying? That he probably wouldn't have a problem with four. And make them, one or all of them, his travel buddies. Okay? make one of all of them his travel buddies, okay, his companions that will protect him from those succubus, those succubi that going to try to leech off of him and falsely accuse him of things and so on and so forth. The last one is learn true sa'ada, learn what true happiness is from the Islamic point of view, so that if some of your streams of income drop off, or some of your associations and investments drop off because these are no longer allowed, as the good Muslim that you strive and want to be, uh, you know, that you'll still be happy because you know your Lord is pleased with you in these types of endeavors. So that's my top 5 advices for brother Andrew Tate. Uh, I'm gonna need your help with this delusional dating profile of the week, inshallah ta'ala. You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, inshallah. Here we go. Let me find it. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Oh, here it is. Okay. Usually it's white. This is black. Now, this woman put a meme-ish type bio in her profile. She put a meme-ish type you know and before I get into it, let me address Mahdi's questions real quick. Mahdi had a question. Let me address that real quick. He says, you think he will continue kickboxing? He doesn't do it professionally. I don't think he does it for money. He spars. I saw a video of him sparring his cousin recently. Full contact. I mean, not all out full contact, but they were making contact. Okay, and it was full contact, just maybe not all out. Okay. There's nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong with kickboxing. You can't do it for money. You can't. If blood is residual from that, then sometimes we bleed. Wrestling, like they did during time Rasul Muhammad Sallam, could cause bleeding or a broken bone and things like that. It's just haphazard. It's not something that you're efforting to do. And as long as he's not doing it for money or even exhibition for money, doing it for a workout and sparring, live sparring, I don't see a problem. I haven't heard anything about it. If brothers have more knowledge of that than me, correct me on it. If they don't correct me, I'll continue to stand that there's nothing wrong with doing it if you're not earning money from it. Uh, I was a very good street fighter back in the day. They wanted to make me a Golden Glove boxer because they talk about how long my arms were and stuff like that, and there was different other things that even now I like to fight. I like fighting is therapeutic for me. I don't just fight anybody and everybody, but with that being said, I just want to address Matt D's question or his statement. I don't think I saw a video of him from his eye kind of damaged from a fight. Okay, yeah, okay. And then Brother Black Mind said, who's it? Oh, no, that's Black Mind right here. He says, hope he stays in shape, but he has to be careful even with that. I like to see him take swimming for his own benefit. I don't know. He might swim. He might does swim. Right now, I'm
I'm
not
sure
sure.
he knows how. If he's
Yeah,
if he's on boats, I mean, he's a sharp thinker. So if he's
yeah,
on those boats and on those yachts, I don't think he would go on them if he didn't know how to swim, just for
yeah,
his own
yeah.
safety. But in terms of taking, I would like to see him take it up as an exercise
Okay.
because it works out every muscle, but it's easier on the joints. Um, and I mean, he's already been in the kickboxing. He's taken beatings and dished them out.
Yeah,
Like Jawad said, if he's had some damage to an eye because of the fighting, well, then he's been through enough, so he could stay in shape that
yeah.
way
He's a multi-champion when it comes to that
without
kickboxing.
harming himself.
Yeah, he's a multi-champion when it comes to that
Yeah,
kickboxing.
but he had to take but
Yeah.
that's just it. You got to take beatings to get to that point.
Oh yeah.
And taking a beating for a worthy cause is one thing, but like I said, he's got damage, and that damage is not because he was defending somebody. It's because he was fighting for sport,
Yeah.
and that's just part of what comes with it. But I wouldn't tell him, okay, look, go ahead and get back in there and get your other eye damaged either. So for him, swimming is great. You stay in shape. It is fairly good for your reflexes.
Yeah.
And it's just a thought that ran through my head. Some other people may think of another exercise as just as good.
Yeah.
Um, but
So
now back to this delusional dating profile. I don't see on the screen an image of her, but I can see her name.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, that Tarshi 52, I typed that in because I want to put her age and her name there because usually they put up just a profile, a bio. This didn't have a bio, it had the meme. Okay? It just had the meme. Okay? So I went on ahead and screenshot the meme. Now, Tarshi is, she's 52. She says, I'm an alpha female. Now, let's not, there's no such thing. So she says she's an alpha female, which means she's masculine. You know, that's another way of saying I'm masculine. I have masculine traits. No man looks for an alpha female. No man looks for an alpha female. Well, what about Khadija? Khadija wasn't an alpha female. She sought out a husband. She sought out Muhammad Sallam as a husband based on his character. Okay, she sought him out. She earned way more than he did. She paid part of his salary. Okay, from a business she inherited from a previous husband. Okay, that men ran. Okay, so again, she wasn't an alpha female. She was just as feminine as the day is long, or maybe even longer. Okay, I don't look radiallahu anha, respectfully. She says, I don't look for a man to provide for me financially. Oh, you're going to love this. But I'm also not going to deal with a man that can't provide. I want you to make sense of that. Make sense of that, please, bro.
Sure. All she's really saying is she's okay. I'm trying to sound balanced, but I can't take my dingaling off the table. That's what that is. She's lying. She does. She may not need a man to provide for her financially, but that is what she wants. And she does mind being submissive. And she can say, "I'm not going to let the blind lead me." She's going to designate every man as blind. That's what's going to happen. She's trying to sound balanced, like I'm in between these two extremes. But in actuality, all she's really doing is leaving a door open so that she can turn around and say to the man, listen, you really ain't man enough. You don't get to call shots. You don't do this, that, and the other for me. You can't. You can't provide this lifestyle, so therefore I don't have to listen to you. And in a nutshell, what she's doing is she's talking from her friend's perspective, from the hyenocracy's perspective. That's all that is. She just wants the other hens to high five her in the end. That's what it comes
Jawad
down to.
said that's like saying I'm tall and short.
Yeah, that is what she sounds like to me too.
Well, she says I'm
Yeah,
an
she
alpha
sounds.
female. Okay, that's the first contradiction. Alpha and female. It just doesn't. Look in the animal kingdom. Okay, look in the animal kingdom. You say, what about ants? Well, I said animal. I said animal. I didn't say insect. Okay, but in the animal kingdom, you don't have alpha females. You don't have that. Okay, but anyway, so and also in the human species, the Homo sapien species, we don't. There's no alpha females. What you have is masculine women who get antidepressants, anti-anxiety medication. They have exotic cats or just plain calicos, and they have a lot of cat food in their cupboard, and they have a lot of cat toys around the house. That's what you have. So she says, I don't look for a man to provide for me financially, but I'm also not going to deal with a man that can't provide. Again, another oxymoron. Now, sister she says, yeah, brother, I'm interested in marrying you. This is a long time ago, right? I'm interested in marrying you, and you ain't got to worry about my kids. I said this before. You ain't got to worry about my kids because their fathers provide for them. So don't worry about my kids. When you do our budget, when I do my budget, don't worry about, because back then I was a simp. Back then, I would pay their current bills. If I married them and they were out of state, I would pay their bills until they relocated, and I would have a time mark for them to relocate. So I would pay their bills. So me and her worked out a budget, right? And I saw the
Yep.
budget detail had her kids in it, bro. This is the same woman that told me. I didn't even ask. She told me You don't have to provide for my kids. Their fathers provide for them, right?
Yeah.
When she gave me the budget, I said, you put the kids in the budget. I thought you said, oh, I don't argue about my kids. I don't argue about my kids. I say, please take more antidepressants. You know, please take more drugs. That woman is crazy, bro. She's crazy. And that little sign right there, alhamdulillah, I saw it. I saw it and I backed out. I backed out like a Boston crab. I backed out of that, bro. You know, I backed
I'm
out of
glad
that
you
one.
did. I'm
So,
glad you did. And there's a lesson that I want the other brothers listening to learn from your story because it's actually relevant to Andrew Tate. And one of the reasons why he's had these views that women really can't stand and they find so controversial. Um, in a nutshell, it comes down to this. Um, when women tell you something in the initial stages and in the initial phases, whatever they tell you that is convenient to you, that's what they don't mean. And whatever they tell you that is inconvenient to you is what they mean. So, and it's not something that they have to do, but that's how they're trained. That's what it works out to be for us because somewhere down the line, they're trained to believe that we deserve whatever's inconvenient and we don't deserve whatever's convenient. So, taking care of another man's kids is inconvenient, therefore we deserve it. Not marrying another wife is inconvenient, therefore we deserve it. And then if they find out that you married only one because that was easier for you, then they start wanting you to marry another wife. So there's something in them, in the training and the socialization that teaches them to look out for your inconvenience. And they may not realize they have it, especially when they're young, they don't realize it. But this woman here, having had kids, and I assume that she was probably in her late 20s at least or older, she probably was aware of this contempt that she had for you and for men in general. And she just was going to hide it by that point. But this type of contempt, this subconscious brainwashing you go through when they're younger that we men don't deserve unless we don't want it, is exactly why it is that we're seeing the behaviors that we see, to which Andrew Tate is one man that has responded and tried to tell other men what it is, what's going on. And that's why they get upset. It really comes down to they've been taught to hate us, and the Western Muslima is no exception. She's been taught to hate us and to make decisions based on what's inconvenient for us. So when we're looking at what they're doing, we think that they're looking out for their best interest all the time, and that is a lot of the decisions that they make. But the other motive that is equally powerful, and if it's by itself and it's independent, it is still powerful, is not their self-interest or their benefit, but our harm and our inconvenience. And so, honestly, the boys or her children's fathers may really have been providing. That could really be the case. She would put this on you, even if there was no benefit to her. She would put those bills on you just to go against you, and she may not even know why she's doing it.
so
That's what Tate has been talking against.
she said, uh, I don't mind being submissive, right? I don't mind being submissive, but I'll never let the blind lead me. See what this is? Again, it's third oxymoron in a very short meme, I guess you want to call it. Uh, she don't mind being submissive. So remember, selective submission, right? It's selective submission. So that means that anytime you order her something she doesn't like, submission is out the window. But if you order her something that's already in her wheelhouse, that she already wants to do, babe, you know what? Take my card and go shopping. Yes, you're the boss. You're the boss. And she'll take your card and go shopping. Babe, you need to control your spending. We need to budget, okay? Well, if you're broke, just say that. You know, that's what you're going to get. That's what you're going to get. So, I'm 52. She's 52. You know, she's almost out of there. I'm saying she's almost out of there. I'm almost out of there. She's almost out of there. You know, I'm not looking for no man, so I'm good. So, but anyway, I don't mind being submissive, but I'll never let the blind lead me. So she's going to determine if he's fit for leadership. Are you submissive to dudes, random dudes in your inbox talking about a possible relationship? No. No, you're not submissive to them. Okay? You're submissive to what? A husband, right? So that man
Yeah.
hasn't even reached husband yet. And if he reaches husband, then when does he become blind? You've said, okay, your husband. I am gonna entrust myself to you, your husband now. But I'm only gonna be submissive, because I'm selectively, because I'm not gonna let the blind lead me. Don't marry a dude that's blind. Figuratively, literally, don't marry a dude that's blind. And that's the problem. Like Muhammad Sallallahu said, that as long as you're doing right by them, they're pleased with you. You do one thing wrong, they say, I've never got anything good from you. This is the reality that we live in. Muhammad Sallallahu said that over 1400 years ago, and it stands true today.
You're on mute.
I'm on mute again.
Okay, you're off now.
No, you know what? I think it's just I think that's just the stream. I don't think it's I think that's just the stream doing that.
It's possible, yeah.
Yeah.
When I think about it, my own the sound seems to be going back and forth, okay. But I noticed that my laptop has slowed down with everything else. As a matter of fact, even when I'm typing comments in the chat, um, I could type them and then 10 seconds later they're still showing up on the keyboard.
Yeah.
So there's a lag in the keyboard.
Okay.
So it could be that. I'm sorry.
Well, okay. Well, that's all I have in me right now. Uh, I appreciate you again, brother, as always, coming on. I used to give you like half a week or a week notice, but you asked for this one, and I thought you was talking about last night, actually.
Initially, I was, but I didn't see a response
Okay.
till later on this morning. It didn't
Okay.
show up when I logged on to Facebook yesterday,
Because I mentioned
and
I
so I
mentioned during
didn't.
the podcast yesterday, I said, brother Black, mine may come on. I said, I'll wait and see.
Mm,
'Cause I thought you were gonna jump in, but nevertheless, alhamdulillah for tonight, bro. Like I say, you make it easier on me, because believe me, I was struggling with the five. I had four. I had four
mm.
advices for our brother, and I didn't have a five, and I decided on five right before the podcast, or right when the podcast was counting down. That's when I decided on what five would be. But I want to make five, as impactful as the other ones. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. Well, you did, especially when you said that he should. You said he should marry four,
Yeah.
and they shouldn't be from the West. Oh, that's going to burn these ladies up. But you know what? That's going to be the best thing for him and for his legacy.
Yeah.
And uh, also, one thing is that we probably should start looking. We probably should look at his brother too, because his brother lives with him. They
Yeah.
live in the same house in Romania, and chances are that his brother is going to study it as well and become convinced, because that's what happens when you actually study it, and then we won't be able to stop him from joining either. And not that we would want to, but the thing is that when people study it, we can't stop them. So we should expect that as well, or I should say we should be prepared to
Yeah.
help his brother out in case his brother comes in as well. And these advices would also apply to Tristan Tate, just like they would to Andrew. But see, they're going to come at him, and not only does fornication undermine these other things and the benefits of these other advices if you fall into it, but the reputation for fornication, the accusation of it, or adultery, even worse, that can still undermine these other benefits. And that's why I was saying that that's actually very powerful, because it's like a protection for the other advices or the other pieces of advice that you gave him.
Alhamdulillah. So again, thank you for coming on, Yahi. And thank you all for
Thank
tuning
you for
in
having me.
and commenting. I think there were people in the room that I didn't see that you saw, because you saw Michael L. Smith before I even saw him. You saw him. you know, and things like that. So it gives me a list of viewerships. When I check other platforms, it says more people saw it. I get actual personal messages uh, after I sign out, and they say, "Oh man, good podcast." Like I didn't see you in the room, like that. So stuff like that. So anyway, it is what it is. It's about quality and not quantity. Um, Amr Yusuf said it long ago. He said you need to build your viewership organically. He said a lot of these people is actually fluff. A lot of it is fluff. They'll say they have this many 10,000 viewers at one particular time, but and Kevin Samuels, he was one of them ones, man. You can slow down the chat. You can slow it down, but that sucker used to go so fast, man. It was crazy. You know what I'm saying? So he actually did have the impact that the numbers said, but a lot of people, they'll say they have 10,000 viewers at one particular time, but what are they putting out? Fresh and fitna. You know what I'm saying? That they putting out stuff like that, which is not going to benefit anybody amongst mankind. And one brother said, well, they say a lot of truth. Well, I don't have to go to the Bible for my truth, when I have the Quran and Sunnah. And I don't have to go to their podcast to learn statistics and women and men. Like, I can Google that. I can Google that. Somebody said, and I think, I said it back when we had the crew on Amo Yum Yum, the podcast. I said it then. Uh, Brother Amir had asked me. He said, why do you? He said, why would you watch this podcast but not watch, Fresh and Fit, And I said, well, that's a simple explanation. He said, why? I say, I like my kufr from kufar. I like my kufr from kufar. I said, if a person is upon kufr, I can go in knowing this person is upon kufr, and I can take what may benefit me from what happened there in that space. I say, but if a person is a claiming to be a Muslim, I'm not going to accept kufr from him. His company becomes detestable, detested or detestable by me. I'm saying I'm not interested in his company. I'm not taking his witness, so on and so forth. Because the kafir comes to me with some news, I automatically understood that guy's a kafir. A Muslim comes to me that doesn't live Islamically with news, I'm like, man, look, I'm not trying to have this conversation with you. We should be talking about something else, just like that, So anyway, thank you for coming on, Ak. Inshallah, plenty more to come. If you would grace us with your knowledge and presence, inshallah ta'ala. So with that, I would bid you all adieu. I'm finna go lay down. Everyone,
Yes, sir.
assalamu
And
alaikum wa
make
rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.
wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you for having me on.
All right. Next time, inshallah ta'ala.